No problem. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to condense this 2-hour presentation into 15 minutes. So I want to share with you some innovation in the manufacturing sector in the skills development environment. We're going to look at some global trends, the growing skills gap, talent-driven innovation systems, and industry-driven partnerships that's taking place. Globally, the manufacturing sector is changing, and it's changing very rapidly, and that is through highly industrialized manufacturing being perpetrated by all the 10 top world manufacturing economies, the US, China, Germany, and elsewhere. So they are taking the lead and setting the pace, and unfortunately, if we want to be in manufacturing, we've got to follow. But we have a problem. South Africa's manufacturing GDP, as you can see, has been shrinking radically. So we're all focusing on job creation. But if you look at that picture, how can we be looking at manufacturing, creating jobs, if we are shrinking manufacturing all the time? So we need to very clearly understand this causes of the skills gap and why, how are we going to arrest the decline of manufacturing in South Africa? Because a lot of it is skills-based. And I believe one of the big things to re-look at is, are we meeting the customer's needs? Do we firstly understand who the customer is? And I want to refer you to research done over the last 5 years by Deloitte's looking at the global competitiveness of manufacturing nations. South Africa ranks roughly 25th and shrinking and sliding down the scale. The top ones are the Chinas and the Germanys, Japans and the USA. But more than 10 million jobs in this internationally competitive environment is unfilled. So even in these highly industrialized, growing nations, there's a problem. And the problem is with that thing called the skills gap. And it's well publicized and we all talk about it, but very few of us understand what to do about it. So it means, if we look at that, that the customer wants something different to what we are giving him at the moment. That's the basic conclusion we have to make. So let's relook at the customer. Firstly, there's industry and obviously career seekers, young people that are coming at us with totally different demands to what we have been used to over the last 20 or 30 odd years. Firstly, industry wants plug-and-play employees, multi-skilled employees, more flexible deployment. They want industry-relevant skills. That's a very key one. Because technology is growing so fast, industry wants this project-based deployment. Projects are happening everywhere. Volkswagen has plants in South Africa, in Germany, in China, in the USA, in Brazil. It wants to be able to send its people, its engineers, its toolmakers, its machinists on projects from this site to that site to that site. It means that their qualifications and their skill sets must be compatible with what the international standard is. They want less retention risk. Companies have to invest huge sums of money in skills development, in developing people with these highly technical skills, and they want to retain them, which is a problem. Shared training cost burden. Companies, especially in apprenticeships, don't want to carry the cost burden alone. And this whole question of international recognition, which I alluded to, we need to migrate people across projects, so therefore their skills standard needs to be understood internationally. Career seekers, on the other hand, want guaranteed job opportunities. They want good growth paths, good remuneration packages and growth, faster training programs, more flexible training programs, more incremental development along their career paths, not stuck in 4-year programs where they only reach value or employable value in 4 years' time, but incrementally they need to be able to experience that. Technology exposure, this whole workplace learning, which is critical, technology exposure, and multi-sector relevance. So if we look at what we need to do to meet the demands, is we have to align these systems to industry needs, align the education system to be able to do continuous learning, deploy e-learning platforms out there so that we take the young generation that are YouTube and Twitter and Facebook users to be able to use their private time to help them upskill and continuous learn. Increase pass rates. We have a very dismal performance record in the manufacturing skill sets of precision machining, tool and die making, and several others. We need to radically improve that. Support services. We know that we have a weak science and math base, especially from rural schools, but these young people are the future of our manufacturing sector. So we need to create support services along their development paths to eradicate these gaps they might have and to support them on successful career paths. Modularization of qualifications so that people can move at a different pace through the same system but acquire value early, meaning part qualifications that has international recognition. This is not possible currently, but there's a lot of developments taking place, and I will allude to those shortly. And then industry-led partnerships. So we're speaking about talent-driven innovation as the top #1 priority of the 10 industrialized nations in the world, but we need to translate what that means. That's their focus for the next year, 10 years, to stay in the top 10 manufacturing economies. We have translated this to mean talent identification and sourcing. We have to go find the talent out there. Not everyone can be a Formula One racing driver. Not everyone is a brain surgeon. Not everyone is a toolmaker. We need to find the people with those aligned talents that we can then develop their skills. Only if we do those two things, plus deploy those skills into industry, will that create innovation capacity in the manufacturing sector. If we translate that further, we need to look at the full skills value chain in that manner. So we need to identify talent both in the advanced skills. We're talking about researchers, designers, scientists, engineers, project managers, your master artisan technician type of guys, your artisans, machine operators, welders, and your entry-level factory workers. We need to have all of those. Training artisans alone is not going to solve South Africa's position in the world of manufacturing. All of those, or we're going to fail. Talent sourcing and identification means we have to improve our career guidance, our marketing of these career paths to young people, especially in rural areas. Recruitment of those talent that we identify, assessing them properly so that we can stream them correctly into areas, because these young people are oblivious of 90% of the career opportunities in precision manufacturing, advanced manufacturing out there. So we need to enlighten them and guide them along and then place them into these appropriate development systems. Apprenticeships need to change. Companies cannot take the burden alone anymore. Therefore, companies are only deploying apprenticeships and learnerships on a very limited scale. We need to go to a national type system where we have a lot of young people in the system, but they are all linked while they're doing their theoretical and practical training on the job training. Company and student relationship building is key. If companies can very early in the development of young people already be exposed so that a relationship can be built, they can suss each other out, and young career seekers can determine, do they want to work in small companies, large businesses, in the plastics industry, in the metals manufacturing industry, where do they want to position themselves? So they need to experience that very early on. Post-qualification placement shouldn't be the responsibility of a young graduate or a young person completing. It should be a partnership between industry, the institution, and the young person so that they're automatically placed prior to finishing their qualifications. Post-graduate or post-qualification student tracking and performance analysis. Industry needs to stay involved in pushing people along on their career path so that we can unclog the job opportunities for new entrants, because people get stuck on their career paths. Talent warehousing and continuous development. When people exit, when they leave a company, for whatever reason, they need to be caught up back in the system, additional development or skills development, and redeployed in industry. That needs to be part of such a partnership. We talked about modular components. If we look at manufacturing, for instance, and you look at a machinist or a tool and die maker, the skill sets that they need to acquire can be broken down into very recognizable competencies, which makes them deployable in industry long before they have finished their toolmaker or their machinist qualification path. And we need to actively look at this because it's possible to do. Student support, we've spoken about personal development support. Feeder partnerships need to incorporate schools, TVET colleges, universities, private institutions, and international certification agencies to achieve some of the objectives that we've said up there. Advanced training partnerships, clusters of development in geographical areas where specific schools, colleges, and universities are knitted together with industry players so that we achieve the elements that we set the target for ourselves up front. This system or innovation that I'm talking about, you're welcome to visit our stand of the Insimbi National Tooling Initiative, which is a partnership between the Department of Trade and Industry and the tool-making sector and the precision machining sector. There is a program like this in play, 1,600 young people out there, 30% of them female, 98% of them from previously disadvantaged communities, 30% of them from rural communities. So all the typical problems that we've spoken about earlier and heard about, we are practicing this in the solution, in new innovation, in new qualifications that are modularized, internationally recognized, and these young people are qualifying with high-end manufacturing skills. Of the 250 young people that recently finished, 85% of them are placed in jobs, and the others are placed in ongoing apprenticeship type environments where they're honing their skills until they complete their skill sets. Over 200 companies are participating in the development of these young people. So this is a success story of new innovation being piloted on a national scale in 6 provinces, and it's highly successful, and industry has bought into this. Thank you very much.